All right, hello guys. Welcome to the part 3 of the June skill update review. On the last two videos, we talked about Assassin, Dervish, Elementalist, and Mesmer. Um, and today we're gonna go and talk about Monk and Necromancer. Um, It's gonna be very interesting, I think, because there's quite a bit of impactful changes. Um, Again, just as a reminder, the tier list is not about how strong the skill is. The tier list is about how strong the change is to the game. If a skill was insanely good and the change makes it only good, then it's a very strong change. It's a good change. If the skill was extremely good and it was nerfed to a point where it can't be played, then it was a bad change. This is how the tier list goes. And we'll try to answer your questions every time we go over skills, like what really changed in the skill. Was the skill even played? Was he played a lot? Was it not played at all? Uh, what does it mean when it comes to the actual game, the meta game? Maybe we can go over this on some of them. And is this relevant for serious PvP, or is this not relevant? If it's not relevant for serious PvP, then it's likely to finish in a tier lower. So without further ado, I think we're gonna start. Balthazar's Aura. Reduce the energy cost from 25 to 15. First of all, let's read what the Balthazar's Aura do, because I think some peoples may not know. So it's an enchantment spell that you use on a teammate, and for 8 seconds, so likely to be 10 seconds with 20% enchant increased duration. Foes that are around the target that has the enchantment take 10 to 30 holy damage each second. So like it could be like 300 holy damage basically, as long as the the guy that has the enchantment on him stays near a target. So it's a pretty good skill by design. It was not played though. To answer this question, no, this was not played. Mainly, I would say because of how hard it was to get off. So really expensive and high activation time. Generally speaking, when you mix those two, a skill it can't be played because of mesmers and rangers. So reduce the activation time from 2 to 1, reduce the recharge from 25 to 20. So there is a half duration upkeep basically, half time upkeep rather, and increase the damage from 1025 to 1030. So I think out of all the skills that I've read so far, this one gets the biggest buff when you think about it. It's like less energy, less activation time, less cooldown, more damage. It's a buff all around, like everywhere basically. Um, so really interesting change. I like it because it was unplayable, and now I don't think anyone brought it yet. Maybe a meme build, but I think that now it's playable. And funnily enough, you see how big that buff is, right? It's a buff all across everything of the skill is buffed basically, and still nobody's really played it. So it tells you that the skill itself is hard to be brought, let alone with how it was before. So I think it is playable now. Um, I think it's good. Honestly, I wouldn't touch much. Maybe you could could increase slightly the damage even more. But I think it's a good skill now. Definitely a good change. I would say very strong change. Not because it's gonna be played a lot, but because it's an actual strong buff. You know, it's not a. They could have just reduced the energy from 25 to 15, and then I wouldn't be discussing it anymore. I would already have went on with the other skills. But since it's such a big buff on everything, um, the dev really says, "Yo, consider this skill, please." So very strong change. I've yet to see if we're gonna see that skill played, actually, but very strong change. I like it personally. Cure X, reduce heal amount from 120 to 100. Big nerf. Cure X was one of the most meta skill. All the teams play two healers. At least 95% of teams play two healers. So nerfing this skill is a big nerf. Um, I would say I'm kind of surprised they nerfed this skill. Um, I would have liked if they nerfed the skill. I would have liked that they buff other less used X X remove skills. Um, so it's a bit sad. It's just you're targeting an X like that out of nowhere. An X remove out of nowhere. I don't think Monk were having particularly an easy time at keeping people alive. Um, I know Ritualist was buffed, but you're not giving Ritualist any extra moves, generally speaking. So if this is an attempt to make Ritualist more relevant, I don't think it's the right approach. Um, I would say it's hard for nerfs like this to find a category. I feel like my category don't have a really good things for him. I kind of wanted to put it in meme, to be honest. Um, because it's not dead, it's still used. People will still bring it. Um, it's not irrelevant. It's not placebo. It's actual. It's real. Um, and that one is more like for skills that were buffed, but not sure they're gonna be played. So I would put it to meme tier. Like I think why did they touch this is a good way to comment on that change, to be honest. Divert X's increase recharge time from 5 to 8, reduce activation time from 1 to 0 to 75. If I'm not mistaken, Divert X's was buffed in previous patches. Um, so now they're kind of tuning it a bit. It's really curious why they do that. Um, I have no idea why. I think they buffed it recently, and I can't say that it's been played since. I can't say that it has impacted the metagame in any way, shape, or form. And doing what I'm saying right now, like increasing the recharge rates and reducing the activation time. I mean, if you take the change just literally, sure, why not? I think it makes it better, but if you had just reduced the activation time, I don't think it would be played more than it will be now. So it's a good elite. The problem is it's too one-dimensional. Like you remove X's, and for each X removed, you remove a condition, and that ally gains health. Meaning, if you face a team with no X, you have a dead skill in your bar. And for that sole reason, as long as you will make it be a one-dimensional skill like that, I think it will not be played. And I think it's irrelevant. I think it's in a irrelevant change. I think if you want to see that skill played more, you need to give it a little bit a little bit juice and not make it as one-dimensional basically. Find a way to not make it one-dimensional, and you'll see that skill played. Guardian, increase recharge time from 4 to 6. Surprising change. This skill is, again, like Curex, this skill is one of the most meta skills in the game prior to the update. For those who don't know, you cast Guardian and the ally has a 50% chance to block attacks of all kinds. Um, and you could easily queue it because it would recharge in 4 and it would last like 6, 7, 8 seconds depending on who cast it. Um, so surprising change. I don't think the monks needed that nerf, but at the same time, that skill was really strong. When you think about it, it's been brought by all three monks for literally what, 10 years maybe. I think this excuses a nerf basically. When a skill is mandatory on three monks of your team and they use it on recharge and they even overlap them sometimes because doesn't matter, just use it. I think it kind of means that skill is too strong. So I think it's okay. I think we still see as the same amount of Guardian being played. Um, it's just tuned down a little. So I would controversially say it's a good change. Um, if they didn't do it, I wouldn't have complained, but why not? You know. By the way, some of the monk change, some of the ritualist change, anything that heals people, I think have to be they can't be taken individually because there is some change in the paragon which we'll be talking in the next video that make these change potentially more acceptable. I don't think realistically they are more acceptable, but I think what it tells is the devs are trying to shift something. They're trying to have a shift there, so I respect that. Healing Burst. Increase recharge from 4 to 6, so the same as Guardian, and adjust healing amount from 10,160 to 20,120. Um, a really, 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 really big change. Really big change. Burst, the same as Guardian, the same as Curex. Burst was insanely meta in about every team. I think it's hard to find a team that wasn't using this elite, and more often than not, two copies of them. Um, so it's a big nerf to the healing, generally speaking. Really surprising to see that change. I also think the change is a bit harsh. Um, I wouldn't have nerfed it this way, personally speaking. Um, Big nerf. I At first I was really a hater of that change. Now I'm more nuanced because you're giving other classes some buffs. But I think it's still a rough change, honestly. I like the idea that bringing burst is not mandatory anymore. That I like, but the skill to me kind of feels too bad right now. I think the nerf to the healing is fine. I wouldn't have touched the recharge rate. I think if you basically remove that part from the update, I think it's more acceptable. The skill is less strong, but it has the same cooldown as before, so you can still spam it and have good heal party. Here you're hurting the single target healing as well as the party healing because you're touching the recharge rate, and I think it's too harsh of a nerf. So I think putting it to D is harsh. Um, but the C here annoys me because the description. I don't like the description. I could maybe add too harsh, you know. And then it would be a C change. Could be worse, could be better. I think I'll leave it to C then. Let's go next. Healing ends, reduce recharge from 25 to 15. So for 10 seconds, whenever an ally takes damage, that ally is healed. Really strong single target protection healing skill. And I insist on healing skill because it's an healing prayers spell that virtually protects people. So it's a really interesting skill. I like the I like the idea behind this skill. And then they buffed it quite a lot. Um, I think it's still hard to bring, honestly, because you would need some good party healing to have your healing monk be able to bring this, basically, because that doesn't push any bar. If you use that on someone and nobody attacks it anymore, you basically didn't push any bar, which is your main job. So definitely a good buff. Maybe someone can find setups where this skill is really good, but when you use a skill that tells the enemy stop attacking it, it's always a bit bittersweet because if they can switch from that target to another one easily, then they it doesn't bother them too much, and then you've kind of spent mana for nothing. It's really hard to bring. The skills like this are really hard to bring. So good buff. Maybe someone will bring it in some builds. Maybe the meta will shift in a way that this is good, and if it, and when it is good, it will be really good. But I don't I don't think it will be played in my opinion. But good buff. Ray of Judgment, reduce activation time from 2 to 1, reduce recharge from 20 to 15, and the damage from 545 to 1050. So 10% damage increase, more upkeep. So instead of 5 seconds out of 20, it's 5 out of 15 now. And the activation time is 1 second now. This elite was not played before. Is this elite more playable now? For sure. Um, will it be brought? I can adopt that, to be honest. It's a clunky skill, to be honest, because when people see AoE damage in PvP, they just move from it. Um, so it's pretty one-dimensional to me. You need a lot of setup to make that skill work. You need to have setups where somehow you make the enemy stay in it, and it's definitely not easy to do that. So, so yeah, interesting change. Good buff. I mean, it's definitely more playable now. Definitely more playable. Shield of Deflection, reduce recharge time from 10 to 5. Strong buff. For those who don't know, Shield of Deflection is like a guardian on steroids. Um, it's a 1/4 casting spell that lasts for a good time. Now you can see it lasts twice as long as it recharges, and the target has 75% chance to block and gains like 30 armor. So if you use that on a on an ally that was getting attacked by martial people, that guy is virtually invincible. If you use it on a target that was attacked by Elise, it's still good because of the armor. So it's a strong skill. Um, it's a strong skill, but I don't know what makes it unplayable. I think it's just too expensive. I think it's just too expensive. When you look at the other protection elites, they're they're 5 mana. This one is 10 mana, and I think it's what makes it unplayable. So I think if you wanted to see the skill played, you would put it to 5 mana and you would nerf other stuff. You would basically make it last not as long, and I gave it less armor, stuff like that, you know. Right now it's a good skill, but I think it's hard to bring, honestly. It's hard to bring, but it's a good skill. It's a good buff. I mean, I don't know if it's a good buff actually. I don't really like the buff itself. I like that they're giving it a bit of love, but I don't like the way the love they gave it. So so I'll put it to C. It's like I wouldn't have done it this way. Same as burst. Shield of Regeneration. Reduce energy cost from 15 to 10. Adjust armor increase scaling. 20, 40, 45. Um, Really good buff. A 15 energy Monk Elite. I mean, unplayable. I think the last time this skill was played was in 2006 or 2007 when the meta was to have Water Rally Flagger. So he would self-sustain himself. He could also heal the NPCs against 1 damage. I'm not sure it was 15 energy though. But yeah, that's the only time it was brought. It was never brought by a protection prayer monk. Um, at 15 energy, there was no way. At 10 energy, there's probably still no way. That's the problem. Don't think you can see the skill played. It's good. It's not even a bad skill, but the competition is too rough for monk skills and monk elites. So that skill sounds like it's not it's not yet there. It's not there yet. Um, Irrelevant change to me. Should have done something else. I think maybe 5 mana again. You wanna help these elites, put them to 5 mana, and just nerf a bit of the rest of stuff. I'd rather they give too much love to an elite and people consider it and bring it sometimes than they give it a little bit of love and it doesn't change anything, which is the case for SOD, Shield of Regeneration, Dire Vertexes. Like it's the same case for all of them. So D tier. Symbol of Wrath. Reduce activation time from 2 to 1. Reduce recharge from 30 to 20. Increase damage from 832 to 1040. And change functionality so that the AoE pulse happens at the target's location instead of the caster's. So how this skill used to work was you use it and basically you use it at your current location and then around you it will do damage. If people come around you at the place where you used it, they will take damage. Now you kinda use it like a fire, like it's basically you use it like Ray of Judgment. You cast it at the target's location, and then it has effects at the target location. If the target moves, then it doesn't take damage anymore. If someone enters that area, it takes damage. So really good buff to be honest. Less activation time, less recharge by quite a bit from 30 to 20. It's a 5 second duration, so I think the recharge rate is still a bit rough to be honest. Increase the damage, uh, better gameplay. So big buff. It's like Balthazar's aura when you think about it. It's kind of the same change. Big buff. I mean, I guess I'll put it with Balthazar's aura because it's just a big buff. Are we gonna see it? I don't know. But if someone wants to bring a Smite Monk, that skill is definitely a good skill to bring. Or at least definitely playable, much more than he used to. It wasn't playable before. So yeah, good buff. All right, Necromancer. Um, Necromancer. Let's go. Let's go with Necromancer with a lot of minion stuff. Let's read them together. I feel like I'm gonna be pretty opinionated about these, but maybe I surprise myself. Animate Bone Friends, Bone Fiend, I don't know. Reduce energy from 25 to 15 and activation time from 3 to 1. Whoa, 25 energy to cast some minion stuff. I can guarantee you nobody ever used that in PvP, that's for sure. Um, Bone Fiends. I think those ones are the range ones that attack with their tail and do like decent damage. I think they're that. Maybe I'm wrong. Bone or bone minion. I think they're that. Can I see what they look like? Yeah, they're the ones with the tails. So these guys actually hit hard, I think, from what I recall. So I understand that they cost a lot and stuff. Um, so nice. The problem I have with minions in general is when it comes to this question, we have a problem. Minions in PvP? Um, Not really. If you want to make minion playable in PvP, you need to do what you did to whales. You need to make those skills be castable even though there is no corpse. And then if you do that, you need to be really careful that you're not that it's not too OP because people could abuse that a lot. But if you don't do that, there will not be usage in GvG. So I could almost put all of these in meme, and I'm contemplating if I will do that or not right now. I mean, I think I will. Because they didn't even nerf the elite. They didn't even buff the elite that you can cast without corpse. There's an elite that you can cast and have minions even though there's no corpse, and they didn't even buff that one. So they only buff skills that don't work. Don't get me wrong, you could see one of these skills played in one team, you know, and it would be played because it was buffed. But that team could also not do that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I just think this is all memes here. It is what it is. I'll be happy to discuss with you guys in the comments if you're not agreeing with what I say. And if you don't agree with what I say and you don't want to discuss, you're welcome to do builds and show me that these are impactful changes. But I personally don't believe it. Um, is that another minion stuff? Yeah. I'm not gonna read all of them. I think they're all just you summon a minion and you exploit a corpse, right? Exploit a corpse, exploit a corpse, exploit a corpse. Yeah. So to me, those are all meme tier changes because the archetype of minion does not work in GvG because you need corpse and there's no corpse. If you're making just to make sure everybody understands my point, if you need corpse to use a skill, and most of the corpse can only come from either your team or the enemy team. If it comes from your team, it means you're relying on your team dying to have an impact, which, how to say this politely, which does not make sense. You don't rely on your team dying to do something, or you rely on the enemy team dying to do something. But if your team is killing and you haven't played the game yet, then wouldn't they kill easier and faster without you and if you change your build to something else? This is basically the philosophy behind why minions do not work in GvG. So you're welcome to change my mind. Blood Ritual. Blood Ritual. Reduce activation time from 2 to 1. So for those who don't know, Blood Ritual is like the little beep. You touch an ally and you give them +3 pipes of energy regeneration. And they just made this from 2 to 1 casting. Good change, honestly, good change. Will this be played? I don't know. It's still a bit, how do I say? It's still a bit clunky, but the fact that it's 1 second instead of 2 definitely makes it considerable. You can consider that skill. You just would need to find the team setup where it would have an impact and it would be playable. But it's definitely a good change, you know. It definitely makes it better. I want to know the recharge rate on this. 2 second recharge rate, okay. You can spam that on multiple people. Okay. It's a good skill. 1 second cast time definitely makes it competitive. Um, Definitely has its place in B. Maybe someone will find a build where it's good. Consume corpse, reduce energy from 10 to 5. I mean, uh, no. I mean, you could make this skill free. You could make this. Think about it. You could make this skill free, and people will not bring it. I think I think there's not more to say when it comes to a GvG environment. Um, 0.01% of the time a team would consider bringing this skill, even if it was free. So that's pretty much all I think about the skill. Just to make sure you just exploit a random corpse. You teleport, you gain energy and health, but yeah, useless. Feast of Corruption. Reduce recharge from 20 to 15. Um, so the good old fuck skill. Um, target spell and all adjacent targets foe and all adjacent foes are struck with 1680 shadow damage. You steal up to 40 damage from each struck foe with suffering from an X. So it was basically used back in the day. There was some teams that would spam X's and spam with that, spike with that. So you would have pressure on you, and you will also be getting spiked. Um, let's look how the skill looks more like in details. 15 energy, yeah, that's what I thought. 15 energy, 2 second activation, and they just recharge from 20 to 15. Um, I'm hesitating where to put that change. Um, that's irrelevant. I guess it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant because the skill is still unplayable. It's still a 15 second. It's still a 15 second energy. 15 energy skill with 2 second activation time. You cannot bring that skill. It's so hard. So hard. So yeah, that skill is not good. How much damage does it do again? Up to 80 shadow damage if you have 15. Yeah, that skill is not good enough. You need to give it more love. You need to put it to 10 energy, and then it will still not be good. So you need to do even more than that. So Fist of Corruption D tier. I'll make it D tier. Lingering Curse. Increase health degeneration from 0 to 3 to 1 to 4 and increase the healing benefit reduction from 20 to 25. So Lingering Curse is an X that you cast on someone and on the nearby foes, and it makes them have some health degeneration, and when they would get healed less. The benefits of the healing on them would be reduced basically. This was a very meta skill back in the day, 2009 mostly. Really, really strong skill. And they buffed it now. Really good. I like it. I've tried quite a bit to make that skill work in the past years, and it was just too bad. And now they just made it better. Is it OP? No, no, no. It's not OP at all. Is it playable? Yeah, I think so. I think it's playable. I think we've seen some people bring it. I think I think I like the buff. The buff is small, but it's it's good. It's like not too much. It feels like just enough kind of buff, you know? It feels like no, it's just in a good place, honestly. I don't think that skill would ever get nerfed from that point. I think it could only get buffed. And I think it's in a really good place right now. I really like this buff. I think it's definitely an A tier change. I wonder if it's S tier, honestly. Um, could be S tier. Um, Maybe it's too much for S tier, but really good buff. I love it. I love it. Good change. Ravenous Gaze. Increase damage and health stealth from 30 to 40. Just let's look at what that skills look like. So you sacrifice health, it's free, it's 1 second activation, it reloads in 10, and they just made it do more damage. So deal damage and steal health. So basically deals double damage like that. It's like 80 damage at 15 blood magic. Um, Target foe and nearby foes on the stealing part, I assume, and just damage on the initial cast. It's just a spammy skill. Not even spammy because the cooldown is bad. It's just some life stealing, damage dealing skill. I think it's not good enough. Looking at the recharge rate, it looks a bit bad. I think it should be lowered to 8 or something, to 6 maybe. Right now, I think it's not a good skill. I mean, I put it to D because I don't think someone can cook that, honestly. Spiteful Spirits. Increased effect duration from 820 to 1025 and increase the damage from 535 to 1545. So it's a big buff. It's a big buff. One that I did not expect, but one that I'm happy with. I think it's good. That skill was never played in PvP as far as I know, in GvG at least, um, for good reasons. And I think those buffs make it. You can consider that skill. It does quite a bit of damage. Every action, I think I don't need to explain what that skill does. I think everybody knows that skill from PvE and stuff. Uh, I think that skill is a decent skill, and I think the fact that you're buffing the damage and you're increasing the duration is pretty good. It's a 15 mana skill, which is understandable. Many 15 mana skills shouldn't be 15 mana, but I think that skill is right. It's fine at 15 mana. 2 activation time sounds good as well. 10 recharge, so you can really spam it. It's a strong skill. It's a strong skill now. I like the buff, honestly. I like the buff. I think I would rank it with Lingering Curse, to be honest. So 2 very strong Curse elites buffed in the updates. Really interesting. Vampiric Spirit. Reduce activation time from 2 to 1. Increase the health steal from 550 to 1560. So Ancient. I think it's an Ancient. Yeah. So you steal up to 60 health from the target, and for 10 seconds you have a really big health regeneration. Um, and the activation time was reduced from 2 to 1. So the activation time I'm fine with. I don't see why you would bring that skill with 2 activation time. That sounds way too bad. Um, the health steal, uh, sorry, the health steal damage increase is fine to me as well. That skill was not good enough. It still probably isn't, but at least It's not dead. Maybe, it's, I mean, I'll still put it to D, to be honest, because I think it's irrelevant, but it's better. It's better. It's not entirely trash now. Still too weak, probably. Verata's Gaze. Add and heal for 60, 77, 76, 80 when claiming masterless minions. Some minion stuff. Spell. If target hostile animated undead as a master, its bond to its master is broken, making it hostile to all other creatures. If it had no master, you become its master and heal it for. So you just heal it. You just heal masterless minions. uh, if there was a tier below meme, I would put that below the meme tier. Like, what do you mean? What kind of buff is that? There's no way you thought that this was gonna make any impacts. There's no way. It's already dead archetype, and you gonna change the thing that matters the less. Like, whatever. Whale of Doom. Increase effect duration from 134 to 256. So Whale of Doom, for those who don't know, is an X skill that you cast in a quarter second, and for that amount of time, the foe's attributes, all of them, are set to 0. So it's essentially like a blackout for those who know blackouts. It's kind of a elite blackout that you don't even have to touch the target with. So it's a really strong skill. The lower number of people that are fighting, the bigger impact this skill has, in my opinion. So I would guess that in array this skill has become really really OP. I think it was already played, by the way. I think it was already strong, and they buffed it really high. Like from 4 seconds to 6 seconds is a really big buff. It's impressive. I think I don't know why they buffed it that much. I would have put it to 4 to 5 maybe, but 4 to 6 is really unexpected buff. Um, really strong skill. I want to put it really high, honestly. I mean, at the same time, I feel like they didn't need to buff it, so I kind of want to. I kind of don't know. Maybe I could have too harsh, too too strong. Maybe, you know. It's like, oh, like that skill wasn't so bad, and then you make it way better. Questionable change. I don't know what people in array think about that skill, but I mean with the buff, think about the buff. But for GvG, it's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. What's the cooldown on that? Is that 20? Wait, I was scared. 15. Okay. So it's free of energy, yada yada. You sacrifice a little bit of health, but that doesn't really matter. I think this skill, if you had, they did that right. They did the 6 seconds thing. I think you should have nerfed it some way, like sacrifice more health, like 15 health, or set it to 5 mana, or yeah, 15 health sacrificed, 5 mana, and the buff, and then I understand. And then I understand I understand the patch. Now it's like a straight up buff. It's too much. I think it's too much, honestly. Weaken armor. Reduce activation time from 1 second to 0.5. So weaken armor, for those who don't know, is just you cast on a target and it has cracked armor. It's a 5 mana skill, and it cooldowns in 5. So you can maintain weaken armor on a target, probably if you spec into curse on 2, 3, 4 targets even. Um, and now they made it so that the activation time is from a second to half a second. I like this change personally, but I just don't understand. I I don't really understand the change itself. First of all, half a second activation time in Necro. I'm not even sure there's another half activation time in Necro. I'm not even sure there's that much half activation time in the game, to be honest. So it's just a bit of a weird change. I like it. I think it makes some builds really strong. I just did not see that change coming, and I'm not sure what's the thought behind it. Yeah, but good change. I love it. I think it's a B tier change. I think A is a bit too strong. But 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 yeah, I think we come to an end. I wonder when I look at. I guess I'll put burst to S tier when I read that the tier lists. I'm like, yeah, that's really meta changing. Not that it's a good change, but it is meta changing. Whereas I feel like Curex is more like, what did it touch it? It's not meta changing. It does. There's no other solutions. It's yeah. Why? But Burst is kind of S tier now that I think of it. So pretty much it for me. Um, Interesting patch on some specters. Completely useless or bad on some other specter. Like if they want to address the minion, they need. Maybe it was just a PvE patch and they just affected PvP. It wouldn't be the first time, like I explained in my previous video, it wouldn't be the first time they touch PvE skill and PvP just inherits from those changes. So all these changes are irrelevant. Any minion change is irrelevant because the archetype of minion is not a thing in GvG. So yeah, good buff. Some changes I really like in the A and B tier. Uh, More love to be given in the D tier. And the big bursts, the big burst nerf is having impact on the meta as we speak. So maybe we look back at it in a couple months and we say it was a good thing. But for now, it's kind of hurting backlines, I think. So we'll see. We'll see all things shape up. Let's just look rapidly at the wiki notes to see if there was anything about Necro and Monk. Apparently, this was only a thing about Necro, and the sacrifice was from 0 to none. Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna commentate that on a skill that is already useless. Um, all right. Next time we'll talk about Paragon and Ranger on the next video. Thank you for watching this one. And if you have something to say about what I said, don't hesitate to leave a comment or send me a message, and I'm happy to discuss about it. Thank you a lot, and see you in the next video.